Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
Hey there, live from the Waffle Nerd Studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz says,
I love it.
okay, good. We're here. Great to have you.
My favorite.
I have a question for you regarding fear and greed and the emotions of the market.
Okay.
Now, are you guys, I know you're long-term investors, but you also got some short stuff too, right? Or do you dabble in the
A little bit.
little stuff on day trader?
Sanitation.
Speaking of the day trader,
Construction.
let's say the day trader trio. There they are right there. Day trader trio. So do you know what day trading is?
Are we talking like the E-Trades, the Schwabs, the...
No, those are retail brokerage accounts. Do you understand when I say day trading?
You trade...
You're buying and selling.
You are.
The moment the market opens
So-
up to when it closes?
No, not necessarily, but,
Okay.
but you usually have an idea when the market opens if you're going to be a day trader. It's interesting is that when you buy a stock, you usually buy it for a number of reasons. Somebody told you to buy it, you research it yourself, you like the management team, you like the industry, it's robust in terms of whatever. But when you buy a stock, if you are an equities investor, you're not looking to get out of the stock. You're letting it, what's called the long soak, right? There's a fishing term, it's a long soak. I'll give you an example of that. Had you taken your money out of the stock market, the last 10 times it dipped, and then put it back in when it dip. Oh my God, I'm out. Your return on investment over the last 12 years would be roughly 6%. If you left it in, kept it at risk, and got those, because you can't time the top or the bottom, right? You can't ever sell at the top, and you never. Sometimes you do, but rarely can you. Your return on investment would be probably close to 10% to 12% had you just left your money at risk. Okay, so that's why you invest for long term. Okay. Day traders, and I day trade, for full disclosure, 2% of my equities. 2% maybe less, maybe 1%. It's not a lot of money. Well, it depends who you are, right? Yep. Long story short, though, is this: a day trader will look at a stock and use technical analysis to determine. Technical analysis, by the way, started from a thing called the Elliott Wave principle, where basically it says, I'll explain how it works. If you bought a stock at $100, okay, let's just say you bought one share of $100, okay, that stock goes down to $80, and hope against hope you didn't sell it. Oh my God! And now it starts coming up. Emotions of the market. Oh my God, this is great. Is it happening? Exhilaration. Oh my God, it's at $100 again. What do you think most people are going to do?
Sell.
Exactly right. They dodged a bullet, didn't they?
Right.
Listen, I had my 100, and I got my 100 back. I'm out. You can predict stocks like that because there's what's called a moving average, and there's what's called an oscillator. It'll tell you whether a stock is trading too high for its recent trading range. It'll also tell you, where are those points where people got in and out, and you can almost predict if a bunch of people got in here and it dipped. That's called a support resistance level. It means when it goes up to here, it's going to have a hard time getting out of it. And when people drop it, it's going to have a hard time going below it. Day traders look at that and they determine themselves, look, I think I can make some money here by looking at technical analysis. In fact, there's really, honestly, those dummies books, Technical Analysis for Dummies, is if you want to learn it, you could. I don't suggest being a technical trader, but I will give you one tip here, which I think is important. If you're going to buy individual stocks, the second you place that order, place a sell order on what's called a trailing stop. And that means that I'm going to put a stop loss in. I personally think you should put a 10% stop in or a 5% stop in. Means if that stock drops 5%, you're out. Don't have to look at it. Set it and forget it.
Gotcha.
A trailing stop means as it goes up and it drops down, you're automatically getting out of it.
Okay.
So it's a set it and forget it.
So it lives with it forever?
So it's usually 6 months. They'll cancel. You have to redo it. Or sometimes if there's a split or there's something like that, they'll automatically cancel at the brokerage. But if you buy an individual stock, the best tip I can give you is to sell it immediately under a stop loss order. I refuse to lose 5%.
Yeah.
So mine's 5%.
Right.
Trailing stop. Okay. Trails.
Excellent advice.
Take it.
Wow.
So I'm here.
That was
So I'm here.
free. That was free.
My job's done here. Free.
You don't wait till it comes back.
There's this fight going on between the Fed. Again, I got to bring up a great short read that talks about what a scam the Fed is, and I'm no conspiracy theorist here, as I play the Twin Peaks theme. Pulled that one out, didn't I?
That is pretty.
That's pretty good.
Smooth.
There you go, man. Creature from Jekyll Island would be the name of the book that you should read.
So you want to know the tale of the creature from Jekyll Island, do ya?
Perfect, I got this one, Sully. The book, published in 1994 by J. Edward Griffin, uncovers the secret history of the United States Federal Reserve System. Our journey starts in 1910, when a group of powerful bankers meet in secret on Jekyll Island just off the coast of Georgia to draft a plan for a central banking system in the United States. The group included men like J.P. Morgan, Paul Warburg, Senator Nelson Aldrich, which, a fun fact, was John D. Rockefeller's father-in-law, talk about nepotism, spent a week in secrecy discussing their plan, which would eventually become the Federal Reserve. They went disguised as duck hunters in secrecy so that they wouldn't face scrutiny from the press or the public. But really, who'd have a problem with a bunch of bankers coming up with the rules for central banking?
Look, Remy, let's just forget about last night, okay? There's just too much possibility for conflict of interest.
Oh. The name of their game is bailout. The Federal Reserve was created to address a bunch of financial panics that occurred during the 19th and 20th century. You see, the Fed was designed to be a lender of last resort, so to speak. However, the Fed's ability to bail out banks leads us to a moral hazard, where banks take on unnecessarily big risks knowing that they're going to have a bailout if anything goes wrong. Now, the Fed was originally created as protectors of the public, protecting it from financial instability and inflation, including the Great Depression, the inflation of the 1970s, and who could forget that good old 2008 financial crisis and the Great Recession. Doing great, guys. In the early years, the Fed focused on stabilizing the banking system and preventing any more bank failures. But then later, the Fed shifted its focus to controlling the economy through monetary policies, such as controlling factors like the money supply and interest rates. Sound familiar? Now, the money supply, how do you just make money? That's where they came up with the Mandrake mechanism, which pretty much means banks are only required to hold a fraction of their deposits in reserve. The rest of the deposits can be loaned out, creating new money in the process.
So let's talk about the creature that exists today.
The Fed's policies have a significant impact on inflation, employment, and economic growth. However, the Fed's independence and lack of accountability to Americans give off huge vibes of concern about its power and influence. The creature from Jekyll Island essentially argues that the Federal Reserve has been nothing but a disaster for the U.S. economy, leading to inflation, financial instability, and government debt. It suggests that a return to the gold standard and a free market approach would probably be a better alternative to the current system. Ultimately, it's a call to action for Americans to take control of their monetary system and demand more transparency and accountability from their government. All right, back to Sully and the beef stew guy.
Big Biz Show rolling on. Another beautiful day here in sunny Southern California from the Loft 100 studios. I'm Costa, that woman there in the blue, Maribert Godwin, our executive producer, Greg Todorov, right here. Sully's wandering around somewhere. May have hit his head. Till he wanders back, I will stand here and try to keep the ship going towards Jekyll Island. Speaking of, our market analyst, Howie Font, he of the most awesome hair, besides Greg on the Big Biz Show. He joins us once again. Howie, when we look at that package done by our Sergeant at Arms, Devin Doan, what is the likelihood that we will ever get away from the Federal Reserve?
0.
Okay, great. Okay.
So most currencies follow the country that they're of and go to 0 in the end. So Danish Empire, even the pound is relatively still strong, but compared to what it was 100 years ago, value asymptotically goes down, which means it goes as close to 0 as possible, but never quite gets to 0. So if you just take $1 from 50 years ago as one data point, $1 now, and $1 100 years ago, $1 100 years ago had much, much more value. Now, the reason this is okay is because the things that the dollars can buy actually does advance. So that's what it takes more dollars to buy an iPhone, but there was no amount of 1990 dollars that could buy an iPhone, if that makes sense. I mean,
no, it
but
does.
We're always loaning against ourselves,
Yeah.
or against our own future. Yeah.
Hey,
It's
what's going on right now with hedge funds and as far as owning single-family houses? in the United States?
I'm so glad you brought this up. This is a really popular topic right now because the Senate just took on a House bill. That the House has been exploring this since the beginning of the year, but they're actually thinking about banning this practice. So, a ton of single-family homes on the more expensive side, about 430,000, have been bought up by just the top 10 largest institutional investors. So that's going to be hedge funds, and then people like BlackRock, Blackstone, Tiger Global. These guys, they find what they think are good deals, good trades. They don't need the money immediately. They can pay all cash offers. They can pay a little bit higher to the market, and sellers will take that deal every time. But it's driving up the cost of housing and driving out any potential first-time borrowers. So the government is saying, look, there's a version of the bill that says if you have managed more than $1 billion, you're not allowed to buy homes as part of your portfolio.
Okay.
There's another one saying we're just going to give you a big fat tax, 50% tax on any home that you buy, and that should stop the practice. So there's a couple different things, but I wanted to see what the Nunya crowd thought about this.
Howie Font is our Big Biz Show market analyst. Well, now are this 10% you're talking about buying up all this inventory? Is it to just buy it, flip it, obviously make a process, or some profit? Are some talking in terms of we'll turn them into 1 week rentals, that type of thing, or is it merely just flipping the market and
No.
making a profit, driving the price up?
They are going to do long-term rentals and or flip it because there'll be a very liquid market. I mean, traditionally you've been able to sell really these nice upscale properties fairly easily. For them, it doesn't matter if it takes a month or two to find the right buyer. It's about getting the right price. And in the meantime, we're going to clip rent. But the philosophy is we'll be the owner and you'll own nothing and like it. You'll pay rent. You don't have to deal with the costs of ownership, but you don't get any of the upside, which is how most people long-term make big money.
We're talking, if we're talking in terms of a housing shortage, what numbers are we looking at right now?
Big. So it depends on how you measure it, but housing units per person, it's between 1.5 and 5.5 million. So lots of housing is needed. It depends on whether you're counting, census or what cities say, because immigration and people move from state to state, so the numbers get a little funky. But it is at least several million units that the country needs. And inflation and lumber, I know you've talked about that on the show, has stopped building new homes, but there's also not really much incentive for low margin, smaller, less expensive homes. That you want to build something grand and provide to the top of the market. And so if you have that pressure on one end and the top heavy pressure of someone buying up all of the homes for their investment portfolio, it doesn't spell a pretty picture.
Howie Font, our Big Biz Show market analyst. Howie, Greg and Mary and myself, a lot of other people in the studio were fortunate enough to own the homes that we live in. And we're hearing more and more, though, about maybe your generation, younger people that owning maybe, and I can only use California as the test, but do you feel that yourself? You're a younger guy, you're in New York City right now, that a home is going to take you longer to procure, or can you talking amongst your friends and whatnot, that this is actually a real fear of theirs, never owning the dwelling that they're going to live in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It is the question. I will rebut myself before I give my answer and just say, the big caveat is homes now compared to homes in the 70s, like every other good and services, are way superior. So yes, they should be, and they're actually a bit larger per unit dwelling. So it makes sense that it's up some, but yeah, it shuts people out of, a strong financial future. It shuts people out of stability. And for me, I'm doing fine. I get to appear a couple times a week on the Big Biz Show.
Look at you.
You've made it.
And renting is still the option that makes this. Renting is cheaper than owning, and there's a lot of life choices, I'm sure, that are still affecting millennials. But millennials have kids now and are of age, and if they want to settle down, it's much harder than other generations for this aspect. They have a lot of other things that are going great for them.
He's our Big Biz Show market analyst. He is Howie Font. Howie, always appreciate it, brother. Can't wait to have you on again soon. I hope Sully will be back behind the desk. We still don't know where he is. Good to talk to you, my man. All right, that's Howie Font, Big Biz market analyst. More of the Big Biz Show right after this. And a big old howdy to ya.
And a big old howdy.
From Southern California, the
Yippee-ki-yay, Mike.
The Loft 100 Studios. It is the Big Biz Show. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching or listening, we appreciate you being along for the ride. Mike Costa, Maribert Godwin, Greg Todoroff, Sully.
Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. You know what? You two behave. Brian's on $1 million contract for the rest of his life now.
We're on
James
probation.
and Trace. You ever heard of a mouth breather?
Yeah.
Oh,
Trace is like, my idea was this.
Okay.
Go on stage.
Lay it on us.
I love cracking James up because James does a lot of work on stage, like the whole thing, like you're going to take 2 steps, you play some chords, like what's it? You throw some hats in the thing. No, he's got it all planned out. It's going to be great. I'm going to mess with James. I'm going to wear a hat on stage. He's like, and then Trace.
Just confusion.
And then Trace, who has to start the song, is like,
Dumb.
he's like we're like 40 seconds in, like
Yeah, it was all bad.
I think these guys are the art project. They're not actually gonna. Anyway,
Does
great
Devin
to have.
have this on film?
Oh no, we have it all on film.
Okay, I need to see this.
Nice.
The opening's 50 seconds long. So
I love it. Perfect.
hey, great to have you back today. So welcome, and are you? Oh, it's just me and James still wearing our shirts from Saturday. Christian Kanstrup is the CEO to a company called Evaxion, EVAX. We had such a great conversation with him, and what's interesting is I got a ton of email about this company.
Yep.
And it's about AI immunotechnology for cancer. I know we talk a lot about the fact that using your own immune system to fight cancer, and I always feel like, hey, we're doing great, but we're only curing 8% of cancer.
Yeah.
This guy gave me a reason to live. Christian Kanstrup joins us. Christian, how are you, brother? Thanks for coming on the air with us.
I am good, and thank you so much for having me back. And a nice shirt you got there, by the way. It looks good.
You know, your next shareholder meeting, I think you show up on stage and we'll be there with you. And you just,
AI bitches.
Hey, can you review again about your company being a clinical stage company based on the AI immuno platform, because that is the real tiebreaker game changer here.
No, I mean, first of all, great to be back again, and happy to tell you a little bit more about Evaxion. As you say, we are a clinical stage tech bio company, which is based upon the AI platform, AI Immunology. And what we do is we work within cancer, we work within infectious diseases, and you can say, as you said, cancer is still a huge problem, right? We have 10 million deaths a year due to cancer. Despite all the advancement we have seen in cancer therapy, still so much we need to do. And what we have been doing is, during the past 15 years, we have been developing, maturing and perfecting our AI immunology platform, which we use for developing both personalized and precision cancer vaccines. And this is about activating the immune system of each individual patient to help fight the cancer. And in order to be able to do that, you need to have a platform which can select the right targets to put into this cancer vaccine, so you make sure that the immune system is activated in the right way. And of course, the whole idea of having a personalized cancer vaccine designed for the individual patient, perfectly designed against the targets of that specific cancer type the patient has, is a very novel and also quite exciting approach to help address and even further improve cancer therapy. And that's what we have set out to do. Our purpose, that is to be saving and improving lives with our AI Immunology platform. So a super exciting journey, but also, of course, as we talked about, a lot to do in providing more effective cancer therapy.
Christian, what's the update on the personal vaccine candidate EVX-01?
Yeah, I mean, we are in phase 2 clinical development. We are conducting the trial in Europe. We're conducting the trial in Australia. And in the third quarter of this year, we will be presenting the 1-year clinical efficacy readout of this phase 2 trial. So super exciting, and we're looking very much forward to that. We just at ASCO in June this year presented the some initial data from the phase 2 trial showing a very strong immune response in patients. So that makes us quite excited about the 1-year readout which we're getting in the third quarter of this year.
Christian, I've got a question for you. So during the course of several years of interviewing guests, whether they be authors, actors, CEOs of public companies, you know, we heard several years ago cannabis. Then we heard cybersecurity. So now the buzzword tends to be AI. Now, believe me, I'm not minimizing AI. I think it's a thing. But when you talk about AI technology in immunology. Thank you. The bottom line, but it is a buzzword. But how can you talk specifically about the intersection of AI and curing people? Because does that mean that the outcomes that you're expecting are generated by an AI computer? Does it mean that it's being administered? Be specific about that, because I think, I mean, this could be the next gen, but by the way, next gen is very hip, is what the kids say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But explain that for us, please.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt there's a lot of talk and possibly also a little bit of hype around AI, but I think it's super important here to understand that AI cannot stand alone. You need to have the technology, and then you need to have the biology competences, and that's exactly why we are saying we are a tech.
But how does AI work into the immunology? Like specifically, when I go as a patient, let's say, how do connect the dots for me there?
Yeah, no, I mean, let's say a patient with metastatic melanoma, i.e. skin cancer, which is the phase 2 trial we are running. You're diagnosed with metastatic melanoma. You will be having a biopsy taken. Based upon that biopsy of the tumor, then we will be DNA sequencing that. Based upon that DNA sequence, we will feed that into our AI Immunology platform, which has been trained on a vast amount of both public and proprietary data in order to be able to, you can say, decode the human immune system, select the right targets. Based upon that DNA sequencing, which we are feeding into the model, it will be predicting the right targets that we need to select for designing and developing a cancer vaccine specifically towards that patient.
Christian, is this the on-ramp of what we needed to kind of get to the end goal here of treating and curing cancer, in your opinion?
I think it's definitely an important step, because here you have the opportunity of taking it one step further and developing a cancer vaccine to each individual patient. And that you can only do because of the AI platform, which helps you in a very effective and fast way to select the right target. Because, of course, when you treat cancer patients, speed is also of the essence. So you do not have the luxury of spending months and months on designing a vaccine.
His name is Christian. Will you come to San Diego, please? We have to fly you into San Diego. We need you for a full hour, my friend. Christian Kanstrup.
I will be there.
You're coming.
If I get one of the shirts.
It's only like 1 in the morning where he's at.
I know.
Yeah, no kidding.
Thank you so much. CEO of Evaxion, EVAX,
Amazing.
EvaxionBiotech.com. AI and cure for cancer. If they could only get Mike Simfunian,
Here we go.
without him leaving his seat. You know, they could put a man on the moon, pal. Big Biz Show. See you in a minute.
In over 175 countries, all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. As always, to you brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces for what you do, what you have done for us. It's the Big Biz Show here in Southern California. I am Costa. The lady in the middle is Marybird Godwin. Our executive producer, Greg Tataroff. And that guy right there.
Oh, now you're playing.
Sully.
2,000 people. It was such a great idea. It was such a great idea.
But did people in the audience start doing that like, is something...
Oh, no, it got weird.
Did it really?
Hey, bring it in. Don't get weird.
Yeah.
Here, give me a hug. Come on, bring. Hey, don't get weird. Bring it in. It was...
I love it.
Come on, I love you. Hey, don't get weird. It was...
They should be playing by now.
They
What's
didn't know
wrong?
us. Like, if we could have done this like it was before, it's like, oh, it's just those guys are... So I said on the mic, hey, we're Sullivan. We started yesterday.
That's great. That's right.
I got yelled at half my manager.
We're
Great
the-
to have you on. Big Biz Show. You know, I always want to deliver a seamless customer service experience.
That's right.
Yes, you do.
You walk on stage, you play a little, hey, Laura. I feel that act like you've been there, right?
Always.
And Mary and I have had this discussion for several years. Act like you've been there. It's like when we were playing the lobby of the Hampton Inn.
It's your lobby, man.
But I had a guy setting up my guitar. Oh, hey, excuse me, I'll be here in a minute. Okay, you act like you've been there before. And we did. It was a fantastic show. It was just that I had a great idea. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a gag. I'm gonna pull a gag on the guys.
Hijinks.
Well,
Yeah, little bit of hijinks.
yeah.
It did.
A little tomfoolery, shenanigans,
Thank you.
if you will.
Backfire.
Falterall.
Oh, I love it.
Yo.
What does Joe Biden call it? He calls it
Hootenanny.
hoot. Thank you. Bing bang boom. Thank you, Mrs. Buttersworth.
Nanny.
Referring to the anchor man. Tell me this doesn't feel like an arm. Shep Hyken. I feel bad for those people in Pompeii. Shep Hyken is the Chief Amazement Officer from Shepard Presentations. Also one of our favorite guests. I feel like we talk about the same thing over and over. What's your latest beef?
It's with restaurants in Vegas. So we were just in restaurants.
Restaurants in Vegas. There's the bar.
Yep.
There wasn't enough caramel in my
No,
caramel
there's the bar.
macchiato.
Hey, listen. I got a beef with smorgasbords. Let me just say.
Well, I've,
Impossible.
great customer service versus not so great. And, you just, I can see them
take us through.
compared.
So restaurants in Vegas, do you mean like going to the Arizona Charlie's all-you-can-eat Langostina bar? Or
Well, no, one was called Nacho Daddy.
Wow.
Strike one.
No. By the way,
Nacho Daddy. I'm not kidding.
this show brought to you by, I'm giving them free advertising just so I can say,
Nacho Daddy.
this segment brought to you by Nacho Daddy. Do you need to rescue a puppy?
It's Cheese Whiz, by the way.
Nacho Daddy.
Nacho Daddy. All the kids want to go
So
there.
a bunch of moms with the dancers going to a
Yes.
place called Nacho
Yes.
Daddy.
And it's just one of those.
Go ahead.
that-
Go ahead.
Is it like a do-it-yourself nacho bar place?
No, they have all sorts of fabulous types of nachos.
Yeah, like tots.
carne asada, supreme, whatever you could, crab, whatever you want.
Don't you guys though tend to go to like hey, let's go to something sensible.
Yes.
Like I don't know what's sensible. They don't have soup plantation, but it seems sensible because they got salad there, but they also have gravy.
Yeah.
So, but nacho cheese is like, hey, come here, we got Salisbury steak special.
Yeah.
Like
It was like nacho. It was Cheese Whiz. It was liquid cheese on there, and it was not what I wanted it to be at all.
But what did you
more-
expect when you walked in? Did you expect like a piece of
everyone raves
grilled
about
sea
it.
bass?
Everyone raves about this place, but here it was like when we first
Excuse me,
got
hold on.
there.
Bring Shep up. Hey, Shep.
Yeah, that's
Shep,
what I want,
You
Shep
need to be
here.
involved in this conversation. Shep Hyken, of course, Chief Amazement Officer. Shep, if we all go, by the way, when you're coming out,
Majority
I
stockholder
rented the
in
place out. It's
Nacho
called
Daddy, by the way.
Nacho
Shep
Daddy.
Nacho Mama.
Nacho Mama.
Like it's so when you because you're
it wasn't
discerning.
the food though. It
Was it your
more-
idea?
It was more. It was the kids' idea. The kids love this place, so everyone wanted to go. But here's the thing: it was
You
one
were
of those
this close to going to Chuck E. Cheese. Damn it!
I
You missed
know, the Vegas version. But it was one of those things where they don't seat you if you're not all there. And when you're coming with
party of 65?
No, there was only, I don't know, 12 of us. That's not that many. But you know, we were all coming in different cars. Some people were late and they wouldn't seat everyone. It's 114 degrees outside.
What is
Don't
it
make
inside?
us wait outside.
118 next to the cheese?
No, it was like 45 degrees because everything's so cold inside.
Evan.
But anyway, they don't seat you. Then they, you know, there was just so many little things.
I love the fact that you can't even articulate. You're so
in.
pissed still, you can't articulate. Was there different types of cheese? Hey, over here is the white queso from Austin. Then we have the nacho cheese.
Where's the Gruyere?
Then we have...
They wouldn't arrange.
You put the gray in
one of
Gruyere.
those things where they would not be flexible with the different, because we had
No
party of-
substitutions.
No substitutions. There was no, like, we are a party of 11 or maybe 13 instead of 12.
We only
and that
seat
threw everything for a
we only seat 12. So you had like one dad at the bar.
Yeah.
Shep right
Who
now
was
is-
okay with it?
Shep's going through
I'm
his
just going to
Rolodex.
listen. I don't need
Shep,
that
no,
step
Shep.
in
So
here.
Shep, let's
I
bring
can't
So
help her.
Shep, look.
What
It
is
happened
your
to me.
nacho daddy?
Same thing.
No, but listen, there's a money-making machine here. Let's face it. When you've got kids and you've got either barbecue chicken, pizza, or nachos,
Or hungry.
it's a money-making machine. Do those businesses that seem to be a laydown have as much of a responsibility as the Nordstroms of the world to create the customer service experience?
So they don't need to be Nordstrom, but they need to create the Nordstrom style of service for that particular establishment. I had the same thing happen to me recently. I had my buddies, my hockey team, 12 of us going over to the restaurant. One of us, the car, flat tire, I don't know what, ran out of gas, but he said, I'm going to be there about 20 minutes late. They would not seat us till he showed up. So I said, you know what? Let's just seat it without. And when he gets here, we'll add a chair. They go, we can't do that.
Did you? But then you of course followed it with, "Do you know who I am?"
I did. No, I didn't do it quite like that. I go, but you're the manager, yeah. Do you think that's a very guest-friendly experience? I mean, why would I ever want to come back when you're penalizing me because a guy had car trouble on the way over to
And
meet
he
us?
said, "Let me talk
That's
to my manager."
just the way it is. That's
And he
what
said,
he said.
Let me talk to my manager, which drives me crazy. This is what I call, Shep, I call it the retail mentality. Why can't we empower people in our businesses, even large businesses? Outback, who serves, by the way, authentic blue and onions, which grow on the side of the road in Melbourne. But honestly, even places like Applebee and Olive Garden and Ace Hardware, why can't those bigger businesses translate to something as simple as, look, I got to talk to my manager. Why not empower? Doesn't it come down to empowering people to make you happy as a customer?
Science. So here's how we do it. We tell them, if you have a question, you don't know what to do, ask the manager. That's the last time you ever have to ask that question. My wife and I showed up at a restaurant at a resort. We ran into two people we knew, and we asked if there was a table for 4. They said they only had tables for 2, but there were 2 right next to each other. So we asked if we could push them together. And she says, let me go ask my manager. It gets better. We went back the next day, and it was the exact same person in the exact same scenario. You remember us from yesterday? Can we push the tables together? And she says, let me go back and talk to the manager.
But is it because there's 2 types of people in the world? There's single wides and there's double wides. The double wides own the business. The single wides work for the business. Well, this is my daughter's philosophy, by the way, which tells you a lot about my kids. But isn't it interesting where, like the other day, I was like, okay, I want the avocado toast, no eggs. Let me ask the chef. Okay, wait a second. Like I said, hold on a second. You have to ask the chef not to put the effing egg on. Like, just don't do the egg. Well, I mean, I gotta. Yeah. And I feel like if we had more of an entrepreneurial mindset, okay, from the start, not just, I don't want to get in trouble, let me ask my manager, it may be different for customer service. Here's my question. What do we need to know before me and Mary's next customer satisfaction survey? And what don't we want to know? Seriously, I mean, seriously.
Common sense, unfortunately, is not so common, but do your best to hire people that have it.
Yep. Shep, you can't swing a dead cat in Southern California without hitting an In-N-Out burger. And
I love In-N-Out burger.
So do I. And they have
and dead cats.
They have
swinging dead cat.
They have their customer service never dips below lower than excellence. They're always happy. They're always great to see you. You can ask for a dead cat on your double-double, and they'll say, no problem. Yeah. Drive through, here's your total.
Are you eating in your car?
How come they are able to capture that?
I'll tell you why.
And other places
this
aren't.
is what Shep's going to say. It's because the last impression of the company is always positive in a place like that. Isn't that correct?
Well, I was also going to say they hired me about 15 years ago to talk to all their managers, but that's another story.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Dude,
know what?
thank you. Thank you.
It's the Shep Hyken Show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in a minute. Honestly, I'm just, Shep, at some point we're going to talk about your books and stuff.
I'm having fun.
Will you please come over to San Diego, bud?
I promise.
You know, the funny part is, Marion, customers are smarter than ever, and you're a pretty smart cookie until you break out the Franzia.
I had no
that
clue.
anymore.
No,
for
but
that
honestly,
reason.
but
I have a clue he spoke to
I think that you,
In-N-Out.
you are benevolent. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but it's like at some point it's like,
You got to figure
good
it out.
goddamn it, where's my nacho cheese?
Yeah. Then he had to split the check 4 ways, and he wasn't very happy.
Oh
with that.
God, do you guys do that? Well,
What?
there's
Yeah.
18 of us. Do you women do that? You know, you're
You
horrible.
women.
You're
There's
horrible.
a couple dads
Sorry,
there, too.
you're horrible doctors, and you can't go to
Oh,
dinner
my
right.
God. Who's got the frickin' tomatoes like this guy? Jesus.
Not only are you horrible doctors.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
Big Biz Show. Cruising along another beautiful day here in Southern California, the Loft 100 studios. Along with the incredibly talented DTT, Day Trader Trio, Costa, Marybird Godwin.
Was that a curtsy?
Greg, it was a curtsy.
Very nice.
Hey.
Greg Todorov and Sully.
I said today, Albert Lin, by the way, is an explorer. He's an innovator, he's a storyteller, and he's an amputee. As you know here on this program that we are title sponsor for several years to the Challenge Athletes Foundation $1 Million Challenge as I rode my bicycle, yes, bicycle, gorilla on a bike. Remember Chris Farley, fat guy in a little coat? I was this wide when I started.
Oh, yeah.
15 years ago. And we rode from San Francisco to San Diego. I think altogether I was 13 times. Our crew supported with video and everything else the last 6 years. We were there every year, actually, but we did the full stuff.
So cool.
But as a result of that, my good friend Laura Wolf-Stein, who is also a friend of this studio, introduced us to Albert Lin. Albert Lin is an explorer, as I said, innovator, storyteller. And he joins us today via Skype on Big Biz Show. Albert, how are you, sir? Great to see you.
Yeah, I'm great. Good to be here, Sully. Been a fan of yours for a while, and
so what?
You know, Laura.
So you wouldn't let me kick down the money to have you come in studio? What's the deal, man? Although you look kind of like a crazy cat there.
That's a pretty cool studio.
That's a pretty good. In fact, you know what? You can't come in studio anymore. You have to stay there.
Well, you guys have the beer on tap and the whiskey bottles behind you and the live band. So you didn't tell me that when you said you wanted.
See, I know. See, when they get big like this, when they get big and large and they're popular, they get a big footprint. They demand. This is.
Right.
We saw your rider. Hey, listen. Give us your backstory, would you? Because I know your backstory, but I think the world needs to know your backstory because I'm a big fan of yours too, and I think you as the host of Lost Cities Revealed with Albert Lin is one thing. But talk about the backstory of you.
Well, I was born in Santa Cruz, California, and I had a pretty wild childhood because on one hand, my dad was an astrophysicist, and on the other hand, my mom was like a former actress, movie star from Hong Kong. So it was these two worlds that kind of meshed into one. And then we lived all over the world because my dad was, he was an academic. So he'd do these sabbaticals on the cheap. I mean, like really cheap, right? And we lived all over the world, just in these little university centers. And so then I got this big exposure to the planet at a young age. And then when I came down to San Diego about, like 20 something years ago to come to school, it was because I saw a university on a beach and I'm like, I want to go surfing for the rest of my life. So that's why I'm going to San Diego. But what was really cool there was that I studied engineering. And then at the time I had been watching this kind of thing unfold where schools and engineering were all of a sudden unlocking this new era of exploration in a big way, right? Like there was these guys that had rock climbed up to some cliffside in Nepal and found all these ancient manuscripts stuck in the side of a cliff because the glaciers had, kind of eroded away the side of the cliff. And I was like, oh man, there's still discovery out there, right? And then there was this other guy who was using all these bioimaging tools like X-ray and things like this to try to look between two walls where he thought this lost Leonardo would be hidden somewhere, right? So I was super enamored as a young recent graduate with the idea of trying to be an explorer in the way that you'd only see in black and white photos back in, you think it's like all over, it's all been done. But no, now it's really happening, but just with these kind of high-tech, high-adventure approaches. And so that's when sold everything I had. I moved in my car, and I gave myself a year to raise money to become a Nat Geo explorer, leading my first expedition. And now, many years later, you see all that on TV. And it's
How old were you when you did that?
I don't know. I think I just finished grad school, so it was in my 20s, mid.
It was like
20s.
3 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, like 3 years. Hey, Albert, talk about. We have interviewed so many athletes on here and so many folks that had physical challenges. Talk about the amputee part. You said you had a wild childhood. I assume you started off with 10 and 10 and an arm, 2 arms, 2 legs. What happened?
Yeah, that was the retro. That's old school stuff, right? Now I got the new. I'm more. I've stepped into the future. I've got a prosthetic foot.
Are you below the amputee?
Yeah, which
that's
they call
not even an amputee
cut.
anymore. Come
yeah,
on.
It's a paper cut.
That guy's faking.
I've spent so many years with challenge athletes riding 1,000 miles down the coast. That is and you know this, Alan. You know this, Albert. There were other amputees he's not even challenged. Come on.
Yeah.
It's kind of an inside joke, and I've always wanted to say that. So talk about how did that happen?
It's kind of an advantage, honestly, because you get all the perks like the parking pass and
you're still fast. And you're still faster than Mike.
yeah. You can still crush it on the pickleball.
And it can surf as well as Greg. So talk about how did that happen?
Well, it was just a rollover accident. I was with a buddy on his ranch out near Santee, and he had just a little 4x4 that we were riding around in, and the kids were involved. We're all just having like a great time off-roading around, and all of a sudden, boom. And that's the thing. It's like you'd think, okay, I've traveled the whole world. I've spent time in the mountains of Mongolia. I've traveled through the Pacific Islands. I've been in, I was just in Sudan and Egypt and all these other places, going into these tombs or I was literally in Iceland 2 weeks ago. Yeah, here in this one, I'm in Oman, dropping into a 400-foot cave in the middle of the desert.
Did you say Oman? See, the adventure's not dropping in a cave. The adventure is flying to Oman.
Right, yeah.
Seriously.
Wow.
Albert, we've got just a couple of minutes left here. What's the latest on the docket? What about your latest projects?
Well, super excited about what just came out, which was The Lost Cities Revealed, which is actually going to be up for an Emmy, international Emmy this year.
Good for you. Wow. God bless you.
What I'm really trying to do now is also see where I can expand the reach in terms of.
I gotta stop you. Is that steel blue? Is that steel blue look, Mike?
Oh, that's
from Zoolander.
If it's
okay, pull that. I want that.
There it is.
Put blue steel.
I can only turn left.
It is blue steel.
Can you put it on the big screen? Look at this. Turn around here, folks.
Yep.
See, look at the big screen.
Oh, it is.
Can you show the big screen from where you are, Jared? I'm not sure if you can do that. Look at
It
this.
is. It's blue steel.
Yeah, there it is.
It is the blue steel look.
Lost Cities Revealed with Albert Blue Steel Lin.
I got the black lung.
You are a handsome SOB. Can I tell you?
I'm going to just do this from now on.
Hey, listen, I have to tell you this. You need to come in studio and be a regular guest on this. We probably shouldn't. Seriously, I think you're fantastic. We're a little short on time here, but long story short,
No worries.
we want to have you. I want to talk to you about keynote speaking down here in San Diego. We want to maybe send Mike with you on some adventure here in San Diego.
Yeah, great.
Maybe do an El Cajon speed.
I want to go with him to feed the tigers in India, and then find
Only
out.
if you can pull a blue steel. Can you pull a blue steel?
Give us blue steel real quick.
Yeah.
Mike, I think that blue steel look for Mike is.
You're not even on you yet.
Do you know
Oh, there. Okay.
Albert, thank you, brother. Albert Lin.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Explorer, innovator, storyteller. You can go to explorealbert.com or Instagram explorealbert. See you in a bit.
I'm gonna check out that show.
Oh my God.
I don't have this in.